Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Those are the 4 teams that will be competing in this season's college football playoff on December 29th. Which one of these 4 teams will win it all and hoist the national championship trophy in Levi Stadium on January 7th? Will it be Alabama, the dynasty, solidifying Nick Saban as the greatest head coach in college football history? Will it be Clemson, a team that has young players on offense, but on defense, upperclassmen leadership, and the saying always goes, offense wins you games, defense wins you championships? Notre Dame, a team that went 12-0. Some people say they shouldn't be there by not being a conference champion or being in a conference. A lot of people also said that Notre Dame may have gotten lucky in a couple of games. But another team that got lucky in the past, Florida State, in the first ever college football playoff. But they still got in. So do the Irish have 2 more wins in them, or will their quote-unquote luck run out? Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, the quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners, the Heisman Trophy winner. Can he pull off the Heisman and the national championship in the same season? He's going to have to pull off an upset against Alabama if he wants to have a shot at it. So those are the 4 teams that will be competing in this year's college football playoff. It's time to get started. This is the video that I have looked forward to all season long. I've been looking forward to it for about the last 19 to 20 weeks. So first semifinal match we're going to talk about is Clemson versus Notre Dame, because that is the first semifinal that will be played. So the first thing that sticks out to me right here is, well, let's kind of go over the teams based off of statistics and numbers. Clemson is 28th in pass offense, averaging 270 yards per game. 9th in rush offense, 259.8 yards per game. 18th in pass defense, 183.8 yards per game allowed on average. They're 3rd in rush defense, and that is a big thing that sticks out to me. 92.9 yards per game is what they're allowing on average. They're 5th in total offense, averaging about 530 yards a game. And they're 4th in total defense, averaging about 277 yards per game allowed. And Notre Dame, 31st in pass offense, 265 yards per game in the passing game on average. 49th in rush offense, about 190.5 yards per game, 191. 36th in pass defense, 198 yards per game on average. 33rd in rush defense, 133.5 yards per game allowed on average. 28th in total offense, averaging about 456 yards per game. And 20th in total defense, about 332 yards per game on average. So what sticks out to me is that Clemson's defense is going to cause problems for Notre Dame in this one. And for going over the keys to win the game is, for Clemson, put pressure on Ian Book. I mean, Ian Book may be a junior, but he hasn't played that much until this season. And another thing that Clemson has to do, this kind of leads into the second one. Make use of your defensive line. Like I just said right at the top of the video, senior leadership, upperclassmen leadership. That defensive line, they all decided to stay together. They all decided to come back for one more season because they knew what this Clemson team could do. They knew they could be in this moment. This is the moment they came back for, to get another shot to win a national championship. And this is their moment right here. This is what they came back for. Make use of that D-line. Take advantage of having that. Put pressure on Ian Book early. And a big key for Clemson's offense, assert Travis Etienne early. Top 5 rusher in college football this season. 21 rushing touchdowns for Travis Etienne this season. In my opinion, should have gotten an invite to New York City for the Heisman presentation. And your final key for Clemson, get Hunter Renfrow involved in your offense. Hunter Renfrow may not be the best receiver in college football, maybe not even the best wide receiver in the ACC. But he steps it up when it matters. He stepped up time and time again during the college football playoff. He stepped up in the national championship game twice. 2 touchdowns in the first match against Alabama, the game-winning touchdown that solidified Clemson's national championship just 2 seasons ago. So Hunter Renfrow, he's got to step up for Clemson. You got to get him involved early because you know he's going to step up because he plays for moments like this. And for Notre Dame, keys for Notre Dame to win this game. Win on first and second down, force third and long. Force Clemson's young quarterback that's arguably inexperienced, although he's gotten better as the season's progressed. But he's never played in a big game like this, in a college football playoff matchup. You've got to force third and long early on if you want to have a chance. Give Ian Book time to make plays down the field because Ian Book is the most accurate passer out of the quarterbacks that are in this college football playoff. You've got to give Ian Book time to make plays down the field. And another one for your defense. Prepare for a big dose of Travis Etienne early on. Because you know Clemson is going to assert Travis Etienne early on. He's going to get a lot of early looks. If I had to guess, he's going to touch the ball at least maybe 25 to 30 times in this matchup. And for Notre Dame's offense, another key as well. Be conservative but aggressive early. And Dexter Williams is the big thing that sticks out to me, is get Dexter Williams involved. Clemson may have the third best rush defense in college football, but you got to show that you're not afraid of this game. You're not afraid of the Clemson Tigers here. You've got to show that you're not intimidated. Clemson has been here before. They know what's at stake. They know what to play for. Notre Dame, they don't know about that. Clemson's been here. There's a lot of players on that team that have been there before. You've got to show early on that you are not intimidated and you are here to play. Notre Dame's first possession. Be conservative on that first drive, but be a little bit aggressive at the same time. Maybe don't be afraid to throw a deep ball on the first play from scrimmage. Or if you want to just hand it off to Dexter Williams and try to see if he can get at least 3 or 4 yards in that first play, kind of just get some yards going. Show that you can move the ball. Even if the first possession that Notre Dame has, it results in a punt, at least try to get a first down. Try to get the ball moving on offense. So we've gone over the keys for that game. I think this is going to be a good one. A lot of people think that Clemson will blow out Notre Dame in this matchup. I can't see that to be the case. Although Clemson has blown out Oklahoma and they've blown out Ohio State in the semifinal matchups in the past, I just don't see it necessarily. I think Clemson wins this game, but I'm going to say it's going to be close to what everybody thinks. I'm going to say Clemson wins this matchup 33-24. I think it's going to be a 9-point victory for the Clemson Tigers. I think Notre Dame keeps it close for a while, but in the end, I just think that Clemson's been here before. They know what to do, and I think they're going to get it done when it matters. The difference is Clemson's defense, they know what they're playing for. They know what they came back for, and I think that's the difference. Clemson picks up a 33-24 victory. So now we're going to get to the second college football playoff semifinal, the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Oklahoma Sooners. And the first thing that sticks out to me in this one is, does Oklahoma have a chance to win this game? And yes, I think they do have a chance. But first, let's go over the numbers based off statistics and numbers. Alabama is 7th in pass offense, averaging about 326 yards per game. 36th in rush offense, about 202 yards per game. 13th in pass defense, about 178 yards per game allowed on average. 18th in rush defense, averaging about 117 yards per game allowed on average. 7th in total offense, 528 yards of total offense per game on average. And 10th in total defense, averaging about 295 yards per game allowed on average. Oklahoma, now they're, based off their numbers and statistics, it may kind of alarm to some people that Oklahoma will get blown out in this game. But I don't think they're going to get blown out in this game. I'm not going to say they're going to win or lose yet, but it's time to kind of go over their numbers. They're 8th in pass offense, averaging about 324 yards per game. 11th in rush offense, 253.9 yards per game. 129th in pass defense. Now that's the one that alarms everybody, is their pass defense. They're allowing about 291 yards per game on average. 53rd in rush defense, 156 yards per game allowed on average. They're first in total offense, however, which is their strength. 578 total yards of offense on average allowed per game on average. 108th in total defense. They're giving up an average of 448 yards per game. So those defensive statistics, those alarm almost everyone. It begs the question, does Oklahoma have a chance in this matchup? Yes, they do have a chance in this matchup, and I'm going to explain how Oklahoma could pull off this victory. But I forgot to address this for Clemson and Notre Dame, but stats really don't matter between two teams until you see them play each other. Stats could maybe give you an idea of how you think the game is going to play out, but until you see those teams play out on the field, you just have no idea. So let's go over some keys for the game. For Alabama, take advantage of Oklahoma's pass defense. Oklahoma's pass defense, the worst pass defense in college football statistically and based off of a visual representation. Don't give Kyler Murray time to make plays, because if you give Kyler Murray some time to extend a play, he may find something. He will take advantage of any extra second that he gets. He will take advantage of any second, any moment that he is allowed free time in that pocket. Get the running game going to take the pressure off Tua. Now, the first thing that comes to mind of Alabama's offense is, how is Tua Tagovailoa's ankle doing? How is he doing? Is he 100%? Because he went down. He had to leave the game early in the SEC championship game, and Jalen Hurts filled in his place and kind of reversed roles of last year. So the running game is going to be huge to take the pressure off of Tua. Whether or not that Jalen Hurts is going to get in the game or not, it kind of just begs the idea of getting the running game going. Damian Harris, Najee Harris. Get those two going. That running game for Alabama, I think, is going to be a huge difference maker whether or not Alabama wins or loses this game. And I will be honest about that. I mean, Tua can make the throws. I mean, a lot of people think that Alabama is going to put up 70 on this team. They could put up 70. They can put up 80. But a quarterback can only do so much on an offense. The people around him got to step up. The offensive line has to step up. I mean, the running backs have to step up. All right, so for Oklahoma, the keys for them. And this is how they're going to beat Alabama if they're going to do it. Force turnovers on defense. Dominate the time of possession. I know dominating the time of possession isn't really Oklahoma's mentality, but you have to do that. You have to dominate the time of possession if you want to beat this Alabama team. Keep Tua Tagovailoa off the field. Or whoever's going to be a quarterback for Alabama, keep them off the field. You don't have to go down the field every 2 minutes and score a touchdown. This isn't a game of having to score as many touchdowns as fast as possible. Just try to slow down the pace a little bit. I know it may be out of Oklahoma's comfort zone to do that, but it just leaves the idea open out there. I mean, don't be afraid to do it. Because here's the thing. In Alabama's last 6 losses, here's the time of possession in each of those games. The average in Alabama's last 6 losses in college football, the opposing team averages a total of 30 minutes and 41 seconds time of possession. I know that's not a lot, but at least it's keeping Alabama off the field. And here's the other key. In their last 6 losses, Alabama allows on average 440 yards of defense. That's the average they allow. 440 yards on average. And what sticks out to me with Kyler Murray going up against Alabama is Nick Saban's kryptonite is mobile quarterbacks. If you go back in time, to Alabama in the past, who are some mobile quarterbacks that have given Nick Saban trouble? Deshaun Watson is the first one that comes to mind. When Clemson won the national championship against Alabama, Clemson had, if I can remember, 511 yards of offense in that game. 511. And Deshaun Watson, I believe he had about maybe 400 and something passing yards. So it's very difficult for Nick Saban for some reason to stop mobile quarterbacks. And mobile quarterbacks are a much different animal than a pro-style quarterback, which is why Alabama's had a little of an easier time handling quarterbacks in the past, like Jake Browning, for example, in the semifinal a couple years ago. Another mobile quarterback that sticks out to you right away, Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel gave Nick Saban trouble in both the games that he played against Alabama. Gave Nick Saban trouble. In the second half, again in the Iron Bowl with Cam Newton, gave Nick Saban trouble. Cardell Jones for Ohio State gave Nick Saban trouble. So Alabama's kryptonite is mobile quarterbacks, and Kyler Murray is a mobile quarterback. And let's get into the final key for Oklahoma if they're going to win this game. No turnovers on offense. You have to play a perfect game if you're going to beat Alabama. And especially with Oklahoma's defense. Oklahoma's defense is not as consistent. I mean, Oklahoma's defense, it's the worst defense that's been in the college football playoff ever. It's the worst one. And you can't have any turnovers if you want to beat Alabama, especially with how your defense is. If your defense is going to give up points every single drive, you can't turn the ball over. You can't give the ball to Alabama on a short field after a turnover. That's what Alabama wants you to do. That's what they want to happen. So, here's my prediction for the game. I think if Oklahoma can force at least 3 turnovers, I think I like their chances to win. That's my hot take. If Oklahoma's defense gets 3 or 4 turnovers, they'll win the game. Well, 4, I think they can definitely win the game. 3, they could have a good chance. Because Oklahoma may not score on every possession, but if they can get some extra possessions for Kyler Murray, I like their chances. I see this game kind of going back and forth. That's what a lot of people think. Some people think Oklahoma may be able to score 35. Some may think they won't be able to. Some think that Oklahoma will be able to win this game outright because that they're used to having to score 40 to 45 points. Oklahoma's done that just about every single week in this season of college football. So Oklahoma's used to having to score 40 or 45 points every week. Alabama's not necessarily used to that. Alabama's had the benefit of having a defense. Oklahoma, they've scored all these points this season because they've had to. Alabama, they may have to score more points than what they're used to, what they're used to accustomed to. But here's how I see the game going. I see this game going back and forth. I think Oklahoma's defense will at least get 1 turnover in the game. I don't know where it's going to be, but even a turnover, that's going to be huge. And Oklahoma getting the ball moving early on in the game. Because Alabama's defense, if you're going to be Alabama, you've got to move the football on them. Even if their first drive, it's just a punt. It's at least flipping the field a little bit. If Oklahoma gets at least 1 first down on the first drive, maybe even 2 first downs, you don't have to score points. You can even take your time if you want to. I mean, Oklahoma's not used to it. They're used to the no-huddle offense of the Big 12. But it would behoove them to at least maybe take a long drive on one of their scoring drives to kind of keep Alabama on the sidelines. Because that's how you're going to beat them, is by dominating the time of possession. And Oklahoma has depth at running back. Trey Sermon, Kennedy Brooks. Those 2 are going to be huge factors. That running game for Oklahoma, they got to give them a chance to win the game. They've got to move the football, get at least about 4 or 5 yards of carry. Maybe 3 would be okay. Getting 3 yards of carry on this Alabama defense, that's a huge accomplishment. But in the end, though, I think Oklahoma's going to put up a fight. I think Oklahoma puts up at least 35 points on Alabama. But in the end, though, I think Alabama wins a shootout. I'm going to say it's 49-42. I'm going to say it's going to be a shootout, but it's not going to be that big of a shootout. I think there's going to be a couple stops here and there. But in the end, though, I think Alabama picks up a 49-42 victory. Maybe even 49-45, maybe even 52-41, something like that. I just know that both teams will score at least 40 points each. So those are my predictions for the college football playoff semifinal matchups. Leave your predictions down below. Also like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time.